Hi, my name is Jarrett Stuckey, and I am performing an ethical news story on an environmental business scandal. First, I want to take the time to explain, at least business scandals in general, what they tend to do to a business or organization, and what causes those, what may cause them. Um, so obviously, business scandals tend to tarnish the reputation of the business and all those involved. So we tend to look at what starts that business scandal. Is it accidental, which could be all mitigating and risk factors were applied, and no one is at fault. It's just an accident that was out of their control. Or we can start to look at issue or issues that create the scandal. They tend to start internally. So by people not caring, people not implementing the business strategy that was created at the very beginning or that kind of molded over time. So that could be a lack of employee oversight, a lack of employee training. It could be a lack of business structure. It can be a lack of competitive advantage. Competitive advantage could be trying to maintain your infrastructure as far as whatever business model you're in. So in my examples that I have today, we're going to look at a diesel fuel oil spill in the Siberian city of Norilsk, and we're also going to look at a Japanese oil tanker that lost barrels of oil off the island of Mauritius. So, like I stated, it could be internally, it could be a lack of training, safety management systems, whatever they use to mitigate factors and ensure the business strategy is functioning properly as it should. So the first one we're going to look at is the Siberian city of Norilsk. Now, after doing some research, I found this article on the Weather Channel, and I duly reinforced this article with scholarly sources, which reinforce the fact that the spill did happen and the companies may have been to blame for this. So this one dictates how climate change played a key role, but as I read through the article, it is clear that what happened is an aging refinery resulted in this spill. So just a quick overview, they lost 125,000 barrels of oil, and then what happened is it affected the Arctic Circle, a number of rivers, then a lake that feed into the Arctic Ocean. Estimated time and money, 1.5 billion in as long as 10 years. So that is very impactful. So as we saw before, that it could be global climate change. But the environmentalists, it doesn't state who, but argue that the company Nornickel has a history of environmental accidents and was relying on obsolete equipment. Now, that you could take that statement almost with a degree of certainty. You can question the competitive advantage. You can question the ability to maintain pollution prevention. When you're in this kind of business, as far as diesel fuel, crude oil, you got to think, are they maintaining their equipment? Are they training their employees to maintain the equipment? Is the company giving them the time and effort to maintain? From here, it sounds like they're just trying to make a quick buck. And then also you can dive into the history of environmental accidents. They've got that working against them. Something to think about. And then we go on to the Mauritius oil spill. So we look at this perfect example here. A vessel that ran aground on a coral reef, and they lost approximately 7,400 barrels of oil. Now, the ship's operator, as well as the ship's the owner, the ship's operator and owner put in efforts, reparations, money, manpower, equipment. So this tells me that when a ship running aground It's either the company is at fault not providing critical training for the crew and for the vessel, or it's a lack of oversight for that vessel. And then on the second hand, it could be crew negligence. So company, crew, vessel, all working hand in hand. So what does this have to do with strategy? Well, when we look at strategy, we look at, like we said before, training. So we look at executive board members who initially create that training. So pulling up this article, it creates, it gets our gears turning, right? There is a positive association between board size and CSR, corporate social responsibility, and then female directors on the board. So we start thinking about, okay, a large board member, then we start thinking about gender, variety, multicultural. This brings together a whole whiteboard list of strategic elements we need to include for a business strategy. So in hopes that when creating the business strategy, we start looking at stakeholders, employees, investors, environmental sustainability, environmental responsibility. We start looking at competitive advantage, the business infrastructure, not just how the business is run, but the equipment, the functions, the pollution prevention, if they're, as we see in those other two examples. So, as we see from these two examples, what can we learn is that business strategy may not have been an important factor, and they were just on cruise control and not really taking the time to better the company, the organization, and unfortunately the environment was affected.